Welcome to the second episode of the Kyle's Corners podcast. Today we'll be describing E3, primarily the Microsoft part and the Bethesda conference. But before that, I need to tell you what's been going on. So me and Nick actually did record a second episode before this about Game of Thrones, but Nick, quote-unquote, accidentally deleted it, so that's gone forever, so you guys will never hear it.
You can't quote-unquote like literally say what I did.
Yeah,
I literally did delete it, but the quote unquote would be I accidentally got rid of it.
Yeah,
not even got rid of it, because that still implies that I did it. I accidentally lost my audio file.
Accidentally.
And, which isn't the first time this has happened. We did this for a commentary track, and
that aren't out.
I think because similar issues, not exactly the same, where because I started on my original audio because I was the one editing it, I never saved it onto my computer just to have a backup.
What a shame.
And then when I saved it, ended up something, wires got crossed, my head got crossed, and I accidentally used like the whole audio test that we'd put together just as a test.
Everyone's shaking their head right now, Nick. Everyone's shaking their head.
So I didn't have a singular use of my own audio. So I just decided, because it wasn't even my favorite anyway, and because it wouldn't have worked beyond that, I got rid of that one. And then this issue came up where I forgot to save my own audio, closed out the program, got rid of the folder on my computer because I'm an OCD weirdo and I don't like things that are additional. Got rid of that. Got rid of my whole audio, and boy, oh boy, folks, you sure missed out on a fine episode last week.
It was. I liked it.
I know you did.
It was 2 weeks ago.
You led the whole thing.
Yeah, I like leading.
I like you being in charge as well, but that was a doozy, Kyle. I will say that.
So I'm sure everyone can tell by now, Nick is my returning guest again. For the technically the third time, but second time for the podcast. We
should even have to bring this up to folks because
they want to know.
They certainly care, but they shouldn't have to deal with our fallacies, our human error. They should just see the perfect shining examples of communication and broadcast that we are.
Oh yeah, totally. So Nick, did you watch all of the Microsoft E3 conference?
Well, I remember this was Sunday, right?
Yeah, Sunday night. I think Sunday or Saturday night.
Sunday afternoon, I'm pretty certain, because
it was pretty late.
Bethesda was, I don't think for Microsoft. Bethesda had the later show. Bethesda had the later showing. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. Red leather, yellow leather. We got to still warm up. But I think I watched it. I usually watched everybody else's coverage of it, because I don't just watch a conference on my own. I always watch like one or two people's reactions to it. So I have like a friend, a little buddy beside me to get their take on everything.
Because Nick's a lonely little boy.
I'm a sad chap. And I think I watched Young Ye's take on everything. The problem is what?
You're trying to. Never mind.
I guess I'm getting over the phlegm still stuck in my throat and my general terrible lispiness. So I'm trying to combat that while getting this one thought out. So I watched it, and but I think it was after all the facts. So I may have known a couple things ahead of time. But yeah, I watched all of it to answer your question succinctly.
Okay, Nick, that's all I was wondering.
Yeah,
I wasn't wondering all about the other stuff.
Your backstory in life.
So I think I enjoyed Microsoft's conference probably the most out of like the 3 or 4 that I've watched so far. I thought it was really good. Had a lot of good games coming out. The speakers did pretty well. They got a lot of buzz on Twitter, as I'm sure you know, Nick, with Keanu and his part of the conference.
Yeah, I would say for what you would pretty much consider the start of E3, considering they didn't do weekends ahead of time, or it was Sunday. It threw me off because I was concerned that I missed something, like considering it was starting on a Sunday and there was still stuff to happen on Monday night and everything. I don't know how you'd plan that for a weekend event at a place people travel to, but Yeah, I thought it was a fine start to the whole ordeal. Got that
E3.
buzz, got that trend money. You get money for trending.
You probably get some like buzz, maybe search money or something. I don't know, probably.
Well, who knows how the interwebs works? But yeah, I thought it was a fine presentation to get things started off. I enjoyed other conferences more.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah, but in the places you'd least expect. So today, like Kyle mentioned, this is the episode we're going to cover Bethesda's and Microsoft stuff. We have at least 2 more episodes planned after this.
2 to cover more. I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
We decided to. Well, I decided to try and make up for the last podcast that we lost.
Yeah.
So we're planning out at least 3 of these ahead of time to cover stuff like Square Enix, Nintendo, Ubisoft, all the other major ones that I'd focus on, or have any interest at all, particularly. But today we're just bundling these 2 together, and I think we got some good notes, plenty to talk about. Good notes,
plenty of games, plenty of other like technology stuff coming out. Pretty interesting.
Okay, so
first off, Nick, we got the third-person Minecraft game that's coming out. It's like a dungeon explorer game.
Wait, Microsoft panel. Game. I didn't even put Microsoft on there at all. That's not the first thing at all. That's like the 5th thing I've written here.
Oh, that was the thing.
You gotta pay attention.
That was the thing I was interested in.
I should have asked you, Kyle. Did you watch the Microsoft panel?
I did watch it. I just put the highlights.
You skipped over at least 3. You skipped over like 3 things that are highlights.
What, Nick? What?
Well, okay, first of all, a non-highlight I'll start with is we kind of got... The way they started Microsoft was they did like an opening Marvel-esque like opening panel with like the flagship games they've had over the years presented. And not everything they included in that montage was on the E3 stage, which I actually very much appreciated because it lended to the idea that maybe there's stuff going behind the scenes. It didn't narrow down or like it didn't make me go like, okay, so everything I saw in the montage is what they were going to show on E3. No, they kept you on their feet because there were things they didn't show on E3 in the montage.
It's not interesting, Nick. I just put down the highlights of the games. I didn't give a shit about that. This
is the whole shebang, and I think it's something to talk about.
No,
it's something that I appreciated, and if it's my notes, we talk about it. So I appreciated that we got to just like they kept you on your toes. Is what I'm trying to get at. The first game of definite note to talk about is the Outer Worlds game that I can't remember the exact division that is developing. I don't even
remember that game.
Oh, God. Well, this is why we're here. This is why I'm here specifically.
Yeah, Nick cares about stupid games no one ever wants to play.
I'm not even saying I want to play this, but it's something to talk about. This is Sotie Boy's dilemma.
The game.
Well, Outer Worlds, Kyle, if you'll allow me to remind you. Outer Worlds is a game being developed by the previously original, necessarily. I can't remember if that's like the exact wording you would say this. But like the developers behind some of the original Fallout games, like I believe
Bethesda?
Well, it's Bethesda's group, but they're kind of working on it separately. It's like, you know how Ukulele got made by a bunch of people made up of the original Banjo-Kazooie people? I think it's a situation similar to that, minus the Kickstarter aspect. This one's being funded by Microsoft. It looks to be some sort of like Fallout in space, where the characters and the storyline will probably be a bit more than Fallout 4, with like pretty much what people expected Fallout 4 to be in terms of its creativity. Because what do people say about the Fallout games?
They suck after like Fallout 3. They all started to suck.
Well, people really, really, really enjoy, maybe not for its like mechanical. I think there's 2 schools of thought when it comes to Fallout. You either the games are either really good story wise, or they're really good gameplay wise. And
I think they got good gameplay. I just don't like the story that much.
The story, what I've heard in New Vegas, that was the game I was trying to come up with, is apparently really great. All the factions and sections and stuff are really well thought out, and the decisions you get to make in that one. So that's what I think people are expecting from this game, because it looks to me like a similar enough situation where it looks like a little less comprehensively made than Fallout 4 was, but People seem to be pretty excited about this one because it's, they say it's the original members making it.
You gonna buy it, Nick, or are you just gonna skip on that one?
Fallout 4 was
you bought
kind
Fallout 4, right?
I did. It was one of the first games I owned for the PlayStation, which was my first PlayStation device. I never had the original or any of the subsequent ones before 4.
PS2 is the best one.
Well, and that situation was, I thought it would be an enticing game to start with, and I logged so many hours because that game is perfectly suited for somebody OCD like me who likes to clean up and do all the little random. For my autism, like that was the perfect scheduled and linear game to follow. But otherwise, I enjoy certain aspects of it. I'm a guy who likes to dig in and get as much as he can out of the games, but I can see myself not picking it up just because it looks like an older game. It looks like technically not something that should be coming out on the PS4 or PS5. But who's to say it is? It might be a Microsoft exclusive, as far as I know. No,
yeah,
I'm getting winded talking about this one game.
What were you saying?
I said I was getting winded talking about this one game, but
so much passion.
It also is my still my throat being all phlegmy. Ugh.
Phlegmy.
So maybe not the consoles necessarily, but for the 2019 to 2020 age of games that we're going to be looking at, I think it's a little bit lackluster. But I'm sure people are excited for it.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some guy out there already pre-ordered it.
Okay, now the next game I can imagine you forgot about, Bleeding Edge.
Definitely forgot about that.
Is a game that looks to me sort of like a Battleborn / Lawbreaker situation where...
So it's a Battle Royale? Is that...
It's not a Battle Royale.
Wasn't Lawbreakers like Overwatch?
Battle Royale was like Overwatch and a Battleborn situation where it kind of has like the shooter elements of the multiple characters. And I don't remember anybody talking about this at all, or
I don't remember
being a presentation that anyone seemed to want to talk about after Microsoft. I mean, it's hard to do when Keanu was a big showstopper. Big man on Microsoft campus.
He was the only man for the world. He's our one true man.
So my thing with that is, I just feel like there seems to be an issue of too much of the same kind of material being brought out in the same year or years.
Yeah, all like same gameplay styles and same.
I mean, you get the pink-haired chick on the the tough girl, and you get the wily guy with the mustache. All that stuff, well done.
Oh, I think I know what game you're talking about now. I wasn't really interested at all. I just passed it. I scrolled it. I was like, nah. It looked pretty boring,
yeah,
to be
and
honest.
I can imagine that being the general consensus with the Microsoft and the general public. Ori in the... I didn't get the subtitle for it. That was another game. Ori 2, essentially.
Oh, is that the white, like,
yeah, the wispy game, the sprites, and it's one of those games that looks very beautiful.
Yeah,
I don't know if the same team that did, like, the Rayman games...
I'm pretty sure it's a platformer, right? It's
very much a platformer. Yep. And it's a sequel to that. I didn't know how many games there were, because everybody just seems to talk about this game, the original game, so much, and how beautiful it is, and how fun it is to play.
It looked pretty beautiful.
So that's something to talk about. That could be something, if it comes to PlayStation, I'll pop in and hopefully get a wistful experience out of. I don't know. I can't play, for the most part, games that are like experiences, because then you have to zone in and take in the music, take in the characters, take in the ambiance. And I always play... I love games I can just put on a podcast for, like... Or, like, even during the... Like, Spider-Man, I'll play, and when there's not a cutscene or a dialogue or a story moment, I'll just put on, like, music.
Beat people up. Beat people up in Spider-Man, that's it.
Yeah, I like games that I can multitask during. Otherwise, it just makes me feel too lazy, like I'm just focusing on one thing. So that might not necessarily be the best way to experience that game, so it might not just it might not be my cup of tea.
Well, I would probably get it for like $10-15 when it's on sale. I'd probably play it then, but I don't think I'd buy it for full price. Right. It's not a game I'm really interested
Shadow of the Colossus I believe I got it for $14.99, and that's an experience I'm enjoying. But I still put on music.
Is that the one with the like giant?
The giant people,
robots?
you have to like. yeah, that's very much an atmospheric game that you have to like envelop yourself in. So
yeah, it's like a lot. That's a lot for a video game to develop yourself in.
yeah,
Not a lot
exactly.
of people enjoy that.
So Ori 2, looking forward to that. Okay, so the first thing that Kyle's noted down, so you get to see how much better research I did, ladies and gentlemen.
No, he didn't do research. He just watched it right before.
I did 3 things. Right. So I watched it and I wrote down what was needed to talk about.
Yeah,
look
but
how
I
much we got out of this already.
I wanted to talk about. I didn't want to talk about all these stupid
Kyle
games.
watched the highlight show and went, "All right,
no, I watched
there
all
was like
of it.
4 things announced and that was it."
Nick, I actually watched all of the Microsoft conference. I just chose the games that I was interested in that I could talk about.
Okay, well, there's definitely stuff I skipped over too, but the stuff you did not skip over, Kyle, was, I believe, Minecraft Dungeons.
Did you see that?
Why don't you talk about that a little bit? While I cough my lungs out.
I had a cough too. So it's like a third-person Minecraft game where you go in to like a dungeon type setting. You know, like the mine shafts in Minecraft. It looks like that kind of. And you get to fight like zombies, skeletons, these giant rock dudes with like red glowing lava in the middle, and then you can also bring in your friends. Like maybe it looks like you can bring like 2 or 3 friends in. You can like loot, you can grab weapons, armor and stuff, and I don't know, it just seems like kind of boring because Minecraft already has like a really big modding community. So I'm pretty sure there's probably already like a modder probably made a game like that in Minecraft where it's you just walk around killing stuff, getting like equipment, you can have friends on, it's online and stuff. So I don't really get the point of making a new game for Minecraft. And they could have just added it on for maybe like $2. It just didn't make a lot of sense to me. Why do they make a completely new game for something that's probably already out there, you know?
Well, I mean, how popular of a game is Minecraft still today? That's my only thing about it. I'm more than likely not gonna say it's unpopular, but for what it is, I feel like the brand and the name needed some sort of overhaul to make it a little bit more, not potentially user-friendly, because Minecraft is probably one of the most user-friendly, like, you can just get into it and enjoy it. Maybe not for the full experience, but for, like, the general overlay of building your house and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
even your grandma can get into that. This one, I feel like they wanted to use the IP to get people more into the Diablo scene, maybe. Maybe it was some sort of, I don't know who necessarily is working on this, if it's specifically Mahjong. Or, I mean...
Mojang, well, you said it wrong, Nick. It's a game. Mahjong's a game.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. What's the company?
Mojang.
And is it even the company anymore because Microsoft...
Yeah, Microsoft owns Minecraft now. They bought it from Notch or Nooch.
Right, I know that. Okay. So, I mean, I don't know if they worked with anybody in the Diablo universe to get that. Because that's what it is, right? It's Diablo with Minecraft.
Yeah, it's like a dungeon exploring, equipment gathering, slaughtering a bunch of
I mean, I'd play it for
stuff.
the sake of, like, multiplayer would be fun if I had an Xbox to kind of, like, have that experience with...
Well, is there crossplay on it? I thought they were trying to bring in, like, crossplay.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If I had an Xbox, that's something I wouldn't mind necessarily jumping into. But I don't know if it's necessarily anything I'm going to have to think. I'm glad it's out there for people who will enjoy it, which will most likely be the demographic of children.
Like 10 to 15-year-olds probably.
Well, you don't need to cite them out necessarily by their name.
Well, I mean, that's pretty much the age range.
Point them out and laugh in their face, why don't you? 10s and 15-year-olds. What a bunch of babies.
They're not babies. Everyone plays Minecraft.
They're babies.
Even college kids still play Minecraft. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and they're man babies. They're children. Let's get the tags in here. Minecraft for babies will be the first tag we'll put in this video. So another thing, a little thing I'm sure Kyle didn't. So that's Minecraft Dungeons, right? You would say that.
It's Minecraft.
That's Minecraft Dungeons. I mean that's literally like we're
done talking about Minecraft. Pretty much. This is all they showed.
Right. So to move on, this is one thing I'm sure Kyle did not have an interest in writing down. But to talk about the conference, Phil Spencer comes out. And
yeah, I not have an interest on this at all. Right.
Again, Kyle's the games guy. Kyle's the meat and potatoes type of guy. I would say just to help it fill out, I'm a little more nuanced.
Nick likes all the stuff. He likes everything. He likes the gravy,
I like the
water,
seasoning,
the salad,
and the salad, and the full course.
He enjoys it. He savors it.
I don't know if I enjoy it as much as I think it should be something talked about. So Phil Spencer comes out, and he's a guy I would have, I think maybe a year ago, been like, oh, everybody before in Microsoft, the Microsoft group, are a bunch of scammers and weirdos, and I don't necessarily like them. They're all bigwig businessmen, and I don't like that whole world of Microsoft. That's what I would generally have said about Microsoft. I think if you were anti like the group of Microsoft before, and I don't know why you would be. I can't even think of why I was before this one. Really, I think I still have the whole genre of like the Kinect, when the Kinect had like people saying like, "Oh, it's gonna be the next bigger thing."
Oh my god, that was terrible.
That nonsense was just the worst. So I think I just got pushed off from anything Microsoft for the longest time. So, and there's still certain things I don't like about that whole group, but Phil Spencer comes out and he's talking about everything that I would love to hear from a developer or from a big wig that he is. Like, he's just talking about games are great and the community is amazing and we can't do this enough without you guys. But we want games to be for everybody. And he hit on all the points I think when you have a big wig come out, you need to talk about. Otherwise, it just seems like talking heads and we're not getting anything new to talk about, really. It's just, it's that moment where they have the businessman come out and he talks about how awesome everything is. But I genuinely got a greater appreciation for that guy because he took that moment to be like, this is what the conference should be about. Games and having fun. And
games and community.
All that sort of thing. Community and all that nonsense you really don't want to hear, but I was glad to hear it. So then he introduced us to the next segment, which was Lost Jedi, I believe. Do you have anything to talk about?
It's called Star Wars: The Fallen Order. Nick, it's
no,
not
wait.
The Last
I called the Lost Jedi.
It's Fallen Order.
Why did I have it listed down as Lost Jedi? It's totally Fallen Order.
Yeah, it's Fallen Order. Okay, it's the guy who does the mocap for the main character. He
doesn't know where he is.
Is the actor for Jerome on Gotham. You know that guy, the Joker?
Yeah, I'm aware of that guy. Very safe choice. I liked the gameplay from what we saw, the earlier stuff. And I liked the stuff,
the trailer before E3?
Yeah, I liked that little intro to all that stuff. And I liked the character moments in this one. I feel like they always have a trouble like making everything feel too Star Warsy. Like, the one thing I can think of is at the end when he like swings his arms and like he like hops off, and I'm like, oh, it's a very like jovial, I'm a Star Wars character thing. But the climbing stuff, the climbing features, the fact that
there's a lot of climbing.
The lightsabers work as lightsabers. Yeah, that made me happy. I liked seeing that stuff.
Well, the game reminded me of like what's called the one with Starkiller, Force Unleashed. It was like kind of like that, like a Jedi who's just going against the Empire with a group of rebels, and you just play as a Jedi.
I rarely use my lightsaber in Force Unleashed, which I only played the second one. What do you mean?
You have to use lightsaber.
Well, I rarely used it in terms of like I liked using my Force powers a whole lot more. This one I feel like it's strategically you need to maneuver your body around and do place. It's like it feels like a Spider-Man game in terms of like, okay, there's maneuverable things you can do here, but you need to do it smartly, otherwise you could run into trouble. I don't know. It could be crap and everything's way too easy when we get the actual game. But
well, the game looks good to me. I like a story-based Star Wars game over the multiplayer.
I'm enjoying the motifs of story modes that we're getting. After Battlefront 2, the story mode wasn't the best. I enjoyed the moment-to-moment stuff that we got in the game. So I'm enjoying. And like when I got to play as Luke, that was fun.
Yeah, well, certain parts were fun. Like the other parts of the story were just boring. Like after she leaves the Empire, is pretty boring.
I would say. And the fact that she immediately did it, like a quarter of the way through the game, really bothered me. I thought we were gonna play as Empire to the end.
Nope, switched it up because that's
all.
No
sir, that's all it is. Good is good and bad is bad. Which is true, but like to have a character, I feel like representing the notion that it's not the case. I think it'd be better for Star Wars if they did more stuff like that. Save it for the comics and the books.
The only thing I'm confused about is the timeline for the game, because I think it's after Episode 3 and before Episode 4, but I'm not sure.
Certainly because of the Saw Gerrera stuff. My issue is Saw Gerrera looks the same here as he does in Rebels.
Season 4, he looks the
so
same.
So his hair, he must have put in like formula after the Rebel stuff, because he grew that fuzzy, that fro between there and Rogue One really fast.
Because there are clone troopers, and you see the clone trooper with the Magna Guard staff in the gameplay. So I'm
gonna say like 2 or 3 years after Jyn Erso got taken away. Or so ran away with Saw.
Maybe we'll see Jyn Erso in the game. Maybe we'll see.
That'd be interesting. That'd be interesting. She might be that black woman. She might be that black woman.
Yeah, let's change her out for the other chick.
Yeah. So yeah, are you gonna get it a first day release?
Yeah, I'll probably get a first day release. To be honest,
I'd like to have you test it out and see if it's worth getting, because Battlefront kind of burned me a little bit, but it wasn't the worst. I got my plays out of it.
Pre-ordered Battlefront for like $80. And that was the biggest burn of my life.
Oh my god!
I got all the free stuff though. So me and
Brian split that, and even then it was like, okay, well, I got my hours of use of it, and Brian did too, as far as what he told me. So
I thought it was pretty fun, and to be honest,
yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, Nick, what is after Star Wars: The Fallen or
something to do with like what looked like a Resident Evil game, and then it turned into Blair Witch.
Oh yeah, the Blair Witch tried the cameras, and he's like, "Let's go find him, boy!" And they're out on the trail.
The timeline of that screws me off, because is someone recording him? Is it just the Blair Witch?
There's like trail cams or something.
Madness? Is it like a repeating loop? I've never seen Blair Witch outside the first 10 minutes. I found it really interesting. Like, are they going in the genre of like, we'll see the witch through the camera like they did in the sequel, or like this new sequel that came out? Yeah, I'm really interested in what they're trying to like. What the enticing decision to do that was.
Yeah, I don't think I'll get it though. I don't like horror games that much, and this one looks pretty boring. It looks like a sit around, look at cameras, walk around.
Yeah, I'm not a big horror guy. I have one horror game on my horizon, but it was interesting to see it. Otherwise, didn't have much interest.
Yeah, I didn't really. I skipped past it. I really didn't care.
Yeah, we skipped past a lot in this conference.
No, as we all know. Not true. Nick's pulling legs over here.
Pulling shenanigans.
Can't believe
would you like to start the Cyberpunk stuff?
Cyberpunk 77. So the game
77? No, that's Fallout 76.
It's 2077.
It's 2077. It's 2077.
2077.
That's right.
So it starts out with like this guy coming out into this apartment with like a pimp or something, a pimp or a gangster. He says, "Give me the chip, bruh. Give me the chip." So then we go through like a flashback of how he got the chip. I think it was with his friend, and his friend dies from either like a rival.
His friend, people were talking about how all these characters appeared in the previous stuff. I think this is the big foray into me seeing Cyberpunk stuff. Cyberpunk's one of my most anticipated games. I just wasn't aware of it as much last year, because last year
I had no clue.
I had not played The Witcher 3. Are you a Witcher fan, Kyle? Have you played that game?
I've not played any of the Witchers, but I might now, because
The Witcher 3 is... I picked it up for $30, based on our mutual friend's Troy's recommendation, during his drunk recommendation. I picked it up. It might be one of my favorite games of all time. It is so good, and it's all made so good because of the work CD Projekt Red put into it.
Would you say it's better than Skyrim on towards that level? Because isn't it like choose your own adventure?
Skyrim is the story is like non-sequential. It's just like the gameplay and the addicting levels of exploration in Skyrim that make it so good. Witcher is just a loving piece of work that you get to play out. Like, it is so craftfully well done. You get invested in a story that should take books and the previous sequel games. I haven't played
and a Netflix series, Nick.
Well, in the Netflix series, I'm looking forward to as well. Now, because of CD Projekt Red's work, I'm reading the first book
I didn't
collection.
know there's books for that.
I mean, that's what it's based off of, is the original Polish books. So because of this studio, because of this love letter to great gamingdom and knowing what the fans want and knowing how to treat a property so well. Considering Cyberpunk is based off this another existing property, I'm really, really looking forward to this one.
So is there a book for Cyberpunk, or
they were interviewing Yang Yi was interviewing the author apparently earlier on, and the gangs and how his process of being brought into the world and how excited he is. Like, he's like a passionate, cool guy, and he was talking about it and how interested he was to working with CD Projekt. It was funny. The quick tangent about The Witcher is the guy who signed off on the Witcher series, the original author, is super mad because he gave it away for like in the thousands of dollars.
That's
like the rights to the
millions.
Games. If he had taken a percentage, would have been so much money for him. And now he was like countersuing for like the rights to all that stuff.
How can he? He already sold it. How can he?
To me, it's like you made a wrong deal, made a bad deal. But he's working with the Netflix series, so maybe he'll try and cash in some more of that. He's made some enticing books and a great world to live in. So I'm sorry he didn't have the foresight to see the potential of the games. Boo-hoo. But I still respect the guy. I don't think he's a bad guy. But this guy is working closely with the studio and bringing in elements that, maybe the CD Projekt Red wouldn't have wanted to bring in. And he's going like, no, this will be great for the game. And it's so far I've been looking fantastic.
The game looks amazing. The gameplay looks amazing.
Well, the small amount of gameplay we've seen, it looks incredible, and I've heard
giant, just
outrageously amazing things about it. I didn't know is it a mainly first-person game?
It looks first-person. I'm pretty sure it's mainly first-person.
Well, the way they described it later on is customization of the character, which I didn't know was going to be a thing, potentially. I don't know if this is like an established character, this character you get to play as. But apparently it's going to be like customization.
Well, I think, isn't the character like an android or a robot or something? Because his arm clearly turned into a
So that could be the way they do it, too. Yeah, it could be you start out as this guy and then he works his way to being different.
Maybe it's like Saints Row where you get like surgery to change how you look or something like that.
Yep. The CG trailer was very beautiful, very cinematic. This is one of the first changes of the thing where I go, yeah, but where's the gameplay? And it was obviously done just to do the great Keanu reveal.
Nick, did you cream yourself and you saw Keanu standing over saying, "Let's get this done"?
No, because it was spoiled for me. It was one of those things where I saw Keanu's Fortnite head put on a picture of of Geralt from Witcher 3 lying in the tub, and I was like, oh, is Keanu in one of the games or something? And he popped up and I was like, cool, that's great. I mean, what a perfect choice for like a person who embodies the idea of like metal and machinery and like future punkiness. Like, he seemed great.
People love Keanu too. He's like a perfect spokesperson. Everyone loved him at the conference. He's become a meme on Twitter.
He became a huge meme. I couldn't help but see your breathtaking memes all the days that have
the breathtaking memes are insane.
It's a little bit much, honestly. So, Keanu being in there, super great choice. I was glad to hear it. 2020 for the release date. Nothing I expected less. I want them to take as much time as they can. This might be one of the few games I go out and buy immediately. I don't know about the because have you seen their standard edition too? Their mock-ups for the standard edition. It just shows me that this studio really gives a crap about their players, and they want the experience to be great. So I'm all about it. I give my applause to them. I wouldn't say that this is one of those they stole the show, but it's one of those things that will be talked about.
I would say it did steal the show from Microsoft. It was probably the biggest.
Oh, for Microsoft certainly, but I'm talking about for the whole overall. Microsoft had a great debut because of this specifically.
Yeah, I would say it really bumped up the hype for Microsoft conference and stuff.
Cyberpunk, really looking forward to it. Anything else?
What was that, Nick?
Anything else for Cyberpunk?
Oh, no, that's it. I'm probably going to buy it, to be honest, too, on the first day. when it comes out. I won't get.
I might pre-order it just for the standard edition alone. I might pre-order it because.
Ooh, pre-order? I don't know about pre-ordering.
Oh, based on what I played from The Witcher, I'm definitely pre-ordering once I have enough money. Yeah, the guys who had to follow that game, like the fairy tale on the boat or whatever, I felt really bad for. It's like, you're gonna be on E3 to present your game, and it's gonna be after Keanu Reeves comes out. Like,
was that the one with the girl that was on a boat? With a bunch
and
of
the deer people.
things?
Yeah, exactly. I'm
that
just
game
like,
look weird as fuck.
That's one of those games that you have to like put out there so people can like settle down after Keanu. Like, they're gonna have their mini discussion. So I felt bad. They probably should put the deer game out for that because that looked less interesting than even that boat game.
I thought the boat game was like a app or something. I didn't think it was a real game. It looked like more like a build like your ship type game. You know, build like a shelter or something.
Well, it certainly looked better than Battletoads looks. Battletoads. My God. Woo bee. Battletoads is just got a terrible art style. I'm not a big fan of it, of that original.
I've never played Battletoads.
Of that 2D style done material. So I don't know if I'm necessarily gonna like that.
Will you buy it, Nick? Will you try it out, or are you just gonna ignore it?
I will say no. It's a flat out no for me. I will not be trying that out.
I don't think I will either. I don't like.
I am also not a big fan of like 3-person co-op games. What is that all about?
Why don't you just go for 4-person co-op?
What is the problem with fitting an additional person on the list? 3 is just such an awful. There's another game out there that's doing that right now, and I don't understand that mentality of not fitting 4 to 8 people into a game. 3 people is just
a weird number. It's
a very weird number for gaming. So I'm not a big fan of that.
It should be like 4 or 2. It shouldn't be 3. 3 is a weird.
Like, I'm glad Battletoads is getting a thing for people who like Battletoads, I guess. I mean, I don't know if Battletoads is like, we want more Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff, but like
we want more Teenage.
Some of those games are.
Bruh, we need more Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle gear, bruh.
Yeah, I don't really know the market for those games, but there is certainly a market for it. So
yeah,
I hope the people who enjoy it end up enjoying it. What was this one? Oh, this looked cute. I'd hope this game would come like to the Switch. This is RPG Time: The Legend of Wright. This was the one that looks like the little doodles and drawings come to life on the notepads and stuff.
I don't remember.
It looked innovative. It looked like a interesting like Scribblenauts take on like just a board game / an actual RPG element.
Oh, so a boring game. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, one of those things. I'd buy that if it came out on Switch. I need more games to fill up my Switch games. Well, you don't even know what I'm talking about, so how would you know?
Well, just by your description, I wouldn't buy it at all.
Yeah, fair enough. What do you have next on your list of events?
The Xbox Game Pass for the PC.
Yeah, that's what I have. If you'd like to talk about that, I didn't know nothing about the Game Pass thing.
Xbox
I heard
Game
it's a great
Pass,
deal. I heard it's a very good deal.
You have to pay I think $10 or $12 a month to have it, and you get 100 or something games that you can play on it, and you can just download it. But you have to keep keep paying each month to play the games, because I had it for free for a month, but I downloaded the games and I couldn't play it after because I didn't have the pass. So they're bringing this Xbox Game Pass to the PC, and I think they're also bringing the Master Chief Collection and Halo Reach, so you'll be able to play those games as well online on your PC as well as your Xbox account. And I think they also brought down the price for E3. They brought down a couple of dollars, maybe $3 or $4 or $5. They can buy it now, but it's only exclusive to Xbox. And I don't know. I wouldn't buy it because you have to keep getting it every month just to play the games. You can just buy the games at that point.
To me, I didn't know if it was a system like PSN where it's internet access included.
Yeah, you have to have internet access to play the game.
But it's not like monthly games where you get 2 games a month or whatever. Or 2 or 3 games a month. It's you get it's
you get a file of games.
The people who are rich enough to afford groceries just purchased for them, so they don't have to worry about that kind of thing. To me, it's a system where if you want to try a whole bunch of games and you buy 2 or 3 games a year, maybe AAA type stuff, you're paying over $100 easily. So if you pay $11, let's say $11 or $12 a month, that comes around to be like 120, 130. Yeah, I'd say that's totally worth it if you're trying to get a
Test out
general
games.
feel of everything. It's even better in terms of the PSN thing because you get more games. I don't think you have to worry about the internet being a provision with or without. Maybe there's another thing I don't know about in terms of how Xbox works with their. Kyle, you're the Xbox guy.
I think you need internet to download the games onto your Xbox.
Right, but do you need Games Pass to get internet to play online?
How
does
so
no
you download
right,
a game, it downloads to your Xbox, but you still need internet just to play the game you download.
Right, but like PSN, PlayStation, and Nintendo to get internet, you need to pay for a yearly subscription.
Yes, you have to pay for Xbox Live.
Okay, Xbox Live is its own thing. Okay.
Yeah,
this is how little in the loop I am in terms of other systems that are not my own.
So there's Xbox Live and Xbox Game Pass you have to pay for just to play Xbox Game Pass.
But do you get free games from Xbox Live?
Yeah, like each month they come out with a
Okay,
couple
so it's the
free
same
games.
system. It's the very same system as how everyone else works it out, except Nintendo's is a little bit worse because you don't get games. It's just internet. Well, it's cheaper at least. It's cheaper. It's like paying your internet bill. But I think that's a pretty good deal. If I was an Xbox guy, I'd probably stick with that a lot more often than having to worry about paying $60.
Well, you get there's a lot of games on there, but
yeah. From what they showed, I wouldn't mind using that for at least a full year. My first time out. Anyway.
I probably wouldn't get it. I won't get it. I won't ever.
Well, I mean, you're a game to game sort of guy, so I can understand that.
I just like buying like 1 or 2 games a year for Xbox, and that's probably it.
That's fair. Well, then it sounds to me like Game Pass would be for you, but to your own right.
Yeah,
Flight Simulator looks beautiful. I can't imagine. I can't imagine doing anything but just crashing into buildings and like airport fields.
Nick, that's
like how does that work? The game looks so beautiful, but what happens when you literally just crash into something? Does it just black out?
Fireball.
Or I want to know the graphics for just crashing into buildings and.
I don't think that's going to be a popular game, in my opinion, Nick. I don't think
it looks beautiful. I wouldn't mind. There's plenty of older people that just like those type of like relaxing, interesting games where you get
the flying a
flight
plane.
simulator.
That's like
it's one of those perfect nerd.
It's farming simulator.
It's a nerd market, and I would even say definitely more than the farming games. But people still play those farming games. You can't deny that.
Yeah, that's true, and they're terrible games.
Age of Empires is a game I wish I had for PlayStation because
I played Age of Empires.
I played Age of Empires 2 on my PC so much as a kid. I would put in the cheat code and bring out those little like cars with guns.
Was that
drive them all over the place?
I think I played the third one where you could get the blue cars with like machine guns on them.
That was the second one, at least for me. And this one's the definitive edition for that. But I found it really funny that like of all games that could use a CG trailer, they just showed the gameplay, and like it's hard to make Age of Empires, the top-down style, look cinematic. Like they're talking about like these epic trailers, and then they cut to like sprites just moving around a bunch. I thought that was really funny.
The game's still good, Nick. You know you're gonna buy it. It's a good strategy game.
I don't know if I'm gonna buy it because it's Microsoft.
I'm gonna buy it.
Well, I'm glad you will enjoy it then, but I'm not gonna be able to.
Well, you also get like a new campaign. You get new graphics.
Again, you can talk about how good it is. I literally just can't get it. I agree with you. These are all great points about it. It looks like a fun addition. I just found it funny that the CG trailer money is not put into stuff like Age of Empires.
Well, because
it's done for the actual stuff that could use great gameplay.
Well, the game's already tested. They don't need a cinematic trailer.
It just looks silly. It just looks silly to me when it's done that way. But hey, great game regardless. I won't be able to play it, but great game.
I'll let Nick watch me play it when I buy it.
Wastelands 3. Do you know anything about this? I know nothing.
Nope, I skipped that one.
Perfect, great. This is interesting to me. Double Fine was officially bought out by Microsoft. And the games they talked about when it came to like the great games of Double Fine Productions and all that stuff, it was Psychonauts.
And that was
it. Was Rock of Ages. Is Rock of Ages the one where you roll, or is that the Jack Black one?
I thought they only talked about Psychonauts. That was pretty much it.
They talked about Psychonauts. They talked about what was the other Double Fine one? Oh, Broken Age, which is that newer Double Fine one where you play as the two kids. Like you switch perspectives, and it becomes like a whole story point and click game, which is pretty much bread and butter for Double Fine. I have never played it, but they brought up the Jack Black rock game, and I was like,
yeah, is that
anyone's like favorite? Like Grim Fandango got a remaster you could show. Like that's a masterpiece of a game, but I guess they didn't want to have two
Isn't Jack
similar.
Black's a fighting game? Isn't it like a rock?
Yeah, it's like
game?
it's like a run around beat 'em up type like Psychonauts. But so they had two of those games listed, and then a point and click puzzle game like Broken Age. But Grim Fandango is like way more beloved in the Jack Black game. I thought that was pretty strange that they did it like that.
He's just whining. He's complaining.
Well, this concerned me because I didn't know if that meant that Psychonauts 2 was going to be an Xbox exclusive necessarily.
Is it? I didn't.
That worried me because I didn't know. Well, I mean, Psychonauts 2 was announced at the PlayStation event, so I very much doubt. But I had an immediate reaction to it.
Did you play the first Psychonauts?
I did, based on James Williams. I always say Williams at first, and I always correct myself. James Williams, his tirade about it, and boy oh boy, is it a fun, creative game that you get to play around in, and I was very much looking forward to the sequel once I played the first one, and it looks great. It looks like almost a sequel they could have made 2 or 3 years afterwards, and I'm not talking in terms of quality. I just mean in terms of it looks like they're back on the bicycle. You never forget how to do it. Everything's there from what I remember about the first game. The enemies are the same. The characters all look and sound the exact same.
I've never played it, so you're describing
very
it
much looking forward to it. Very much looking forward to it. It's a very fun game. Even the way it's the port of the original one looks like an old PS3 game, PS2 game. But oh boy, meatball kiss right there. Perfect. Looking forward to that.
Get some phlegmy kiss on there.
Smother the mic. Lego Star Wars.
Okay, Nick. I was so excited when I saw it.
So amped about this, huh?
Nick, didn't you? Okay, so I just recently bought Star Wars the complete collection for Xbox 360 for $20, and then it came on. I was watching the E3 conference. Came on. I'm like, oh my god, all 9 films. So this has to come out after the last, the Rise of Skywalker, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, all 9 films, and it's coming out 2020, and the movie comes out this year. Yeah,
Rogue One and Solo. Do you think they'll include DLC for that? Because me and Brian were wondering if they'd include.
I don't think so. I think if it's the Skywalker saga, I don't know if they have any interest in making those games. Really, I love those movies, but I just don't know if that's necessarily their bread and butter.
Nick, for like Force Awakens
that are darker in tone and style like that. I don't know. It's not Lego Star Wars to them.
Well, like in Force Awakens, they had DLC for like separate missions, like side missions that weren't in the movie. Like they had like a battle on Takodana and stuff like that weren't included. Like they're in like comics or books and stuff. So I was wondering if they'd probably.
I don't know. It seems to me like it's. No, I wouldn't say it's the exact same. I mean, they did a Clone Wars game, didn't they?
Yeah, they did Clone Wars. I got that one too.
Sure. Then I think they could do something with it, but, I don't see it on the horizon.
I hope they include the big battles from the Clone Wars, because you could like control armies and stuff in the Lego Star Wars The Clone Wars game, and it was really fun.
Well, here's my thing. Are they remaking all of them? I don't think they're remaking all of them.
No, they're just making a new game.
I think they're just remastering everything from 1, 2, and the Lego Star Wars sequel games. So I don't think it's going to be anything crazy. It's just going to be everything in one place, which would be great.
But it looks beautiful.
Especially if it's like online. If they had crossplay, I'd totally get it. We could jam it up with
Nick. We could get all the characters.
You and me could jam it up there. Playing,
I'm definitely
bricking you to death.
It.
Yeah, I'm gonna play as Jar Jar Binks in every episode.
So great. But I think it looks really nice. It had really good animations, really good cinematics.
They didn't show anything. It was a CG trailer.
Yeah, I know. It looked really good.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'd be excited. I'd be excited to have the games and the jokes updated every now and then, and just like the quality of like animation would be.
I hope they don't include the voice actors though. The voice acting in the game. I hope they have like the Lego like like the voice sounds like oh.
Oh yeah, how are they gonna do that with like the change from the first two? Oh yeah, that'd be an interesting dynamic change if they've revoiced everything.
I hope they just include the Lego sounds and don't include the voices.
Keep it like that. Maybe that's the choice they're gonna take based on everyone's preference for the. Alright, they're like there's Simlish. There's Simlish and then there's Lego-ish.
Lego.
Like there's like a language to it.
Well, I mean,
I'm looking forward to it if it's got the right features about it. Otherwise,
what features do you need? It's a Lego game. All the Lego.
Well,
games
again, I want them to speak in their Lego language. I want them to have better animations, and I'd like it to have maybe crossplay because otherwise, I'm not going to have any co-op player to play with unless Brian picks up a PS5 in the year.
How do you co-op?
Not co-op, cross-play. Like, let's say I get it and you get it. We have different platforms. Yeah. Unless we both get it on the Switch and online play.
Well, I don't know. Again, a big thing like all the crossplay. All the companies are saying, "Oh, we're going to include crossplay and stuff."
Well, I don't know that. I don't know that about this game. Is all I'm saying. Okay. Anyway,
that's fair.
Again, I'm looking forward to it on the horizon to learn more about it.
I will definitely be buying it.
Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. What do we know about that?
So
we had a conversation about this beforehand. By the way, I only knew it as Dragon Ball Z Project Z because that's what it was listed at. Still at E3, and Kyle is getting on me because
they named it Kakarot.
They've named it in the 2 days since that trailer came. In 2 days, it's been changed from Project Z to Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, which I think is a fine enough name. Kyle thinks it's
I think
bad.
they could have done better. They should have done like Son Goku or just Goku to make it more mainstream, so normal people would actually like pick it up and understand what the title is.
And I explained it the way you wouldn't name a Superman game like Superman, the Trials of Superman.
It's like Superman Adventures.
They would entice it by being Superman, the Trials of Kal-El or whatever. You know, like alien names seems to be their bread and butter. Vegeta's constantly says Kakarot, and Vegeta's
yeah, that's
a big
Vegeta. That's
player.
not everyone else. He's the only one that says
Son Goku would have been fine as well, but they chose Kakarot. What can you do?
In the game,
anything to say about the game itself?
It just looks like a complete retelling of the first 4 seasons of Dragon Ball Z.
I'm down for that because that's as far as I'm into it. That's as far as I'm like aware of anything.
I just like when they have Krillin dying. He's like Goku, and he just blows up again. I like how they include that in the trailer.
Yeah, they showed all the death and all the main moments of. I don't even understand why, unless there's more to it that we don't know about. They're really just showing off all the highlights of both the anime and of the game, so I don't know. They didn't really show much gameplay outside of like
all
just
the death scenes and cinematics.
The death scene animations, yeah. Whatever. I don't play Dragon Ball games. I barely watch Dragon Ball, so yeah, it'd be interesting.
I like the style. It was similar to Dragon Ball Fighter Z. It was really.
And did you ever play that?
Yeah, I do. I have it right now.
Okay.
I played it a lot. I think it's a really good style, it's kind of like comic, but also anime. It's a mixture. It's kind of hard to explain, but it looks really nice.
I hope this 12 minutes game doesn't get exclusively put to Xbox. Do you remember this?
12 minutes game?
Yeah. See, Kyle, this game, I think, was overlooked a little bit because it's a time loop game a la... What's that Jake Gyllenhaal movie where he's on the train?
Inception? I don't know. Oh, you're talking about that movie? Yeah, I've seen that movie. I don't know what it's called.
Yeah, that movie.
It's where he goes back in time to stop a terrorist attack.
Right, and he has to keep doing it over and over again. And that's what seems to be the premise of this game, is that there's something to do with a guy coming to your house.
Oh,
and your wife knows a secret of some sort. And yeah, it's 12 minutes of gameplay, or like of time frame that you have to work within. It's also like that movie that was out on Netflix. Like everybody seems to be doing time loop movies or franchises. Russian Doll. What's that one with one of the Wayans brothers where he wakes up naked in the elevator?
I have no clue you're talking about.
There seems to be a lot of time loop elements in media that have been brought up a lot lately, so I find this interesting to be brought up. It would be fun for a detective type game, and again, I hope they don't limit it to solely
to that house,
Xbox or Microsoft.
Do you think the whole game is just gonna be in that one house, right? It's gonna be taking.
Yeah, in terms of, you got multiple rooms of the house. It'd be interesting. You have like secret rooms. Maybe you'll learn there's secret rooms.
That game really didn't interest me all that much, so I kind of glossed over it.
We're different styles of gamers, so yeah, I can see that. We can talk about a game that doesn't interest either of us. Bambi Journey.
Bambi's dad is still alive.
Way to the woods.
He's back alive.
Yeah. I don't really care for like. Again, it's one of those atmospheric games without the grand scale epicness of like a beautiful game like Ori or something like really atmospheric.
Nick,
like,
it's just a deer role-playing game.
I mean, I can't say it's not really atmosphere when that's what the game relies on is its atmosphere, but something as epic as Colossus seems to garner my attention more than it does a game about deers trying to get back to the woods.
Yeah. Do you think they'll get shot at the end? A hunter will just come up and shoot them in the head or something?
That's how most of these games freaking end, man. It's that game. Remember that game Brothers by Microsoft?
I think
about the two brothers, like the younger brother, and they're like running through the woods, and that game was bad. We gotta save each other, bruh. Yeah,
bro
it wasn't
one,
like
bro
that.
two.
I don't think they talk like that.
They said bro 1, bro 2. To section 5.
I wrote Metal Gear 5. What I meant was
talk about Gears of War 5.
Gears of War 5. Do you have anything to talk about that? I watched people play. I've never played a Gears game. I watched people play 4. I thought it was pretty interesting once they knew the dynamic.
I've played Gears of War before. I don't think it's not really a game that interests me all that much because
the trailer was very strange. I got what they were going for with the Billie Eilish. Like,
oh yeah, what do you
weirdly underneath tone, but I just thought it was cut very awkward. Like, every time they'd have a facial animation beat last a little bit too long, I'd be like, all right. It's one of those things where I'm like, okay, they had to pad the length of the song to pay Billie Eilish, so they're just like, yeah, just have like low down moments.
I forgot
things
they had
really
that song
happening
in the beginning in the trailer.
I also didn't. That's why I discovered her music. Is that trailer? I've never heard a song before that, and I was like, "Is it this lady who just does these weirdo?" Sounds like Stranger Things.
She's a big fan. She's got a lot of fans out there.
Big fan, lovely artist. Battle again. Is there anything to talk about with it? Because
they come out.
I wrote
the
down
new
notes.
Battle mode, right? It was like escape the
right.
room.
Yeah, and they didn't show any another game. They didn't show any actual footage of. They just cared to do the CG animation.
Yeah, it was just cinematics.
Which gave you, I guess, a sense of what the type of game it would be, obviously.
Well, you can also play as Terminator. Did you see that? There's a Terminator skin and stuff that look pretty sick.
Yeah, pretty sick.
Pretty sick, bro. Yeah, I won't get it. I'm not a big Gears of War fan.
I will probably watch that again just to get into the story because I liked what they did with 4 and what I know about 1, 2, and 3 makes enough sense to. It feels like Witcher to me, where I'm like, okay, I get what kind of came before this. Let me enjoy what I'm currently enjoying. So I'll watch people play that. It's just not my cup of tea. And again, it's Microsoft. What am I even talking about? I can't play it.
Nick can't even play it. So what's he complaining about?
What's the dilemma here?
At least
Forza.
Hey, you forgot the Elite controller, Nick. You forgot about the new Elite controller.
Oh, you wrote that down. That was one thing I skipped over.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to say about it?
I think I like the new Elite controller because you have
those
three different types.
Those grips are all like steady. I kind of like that. Triangular and steady.
Yeah, and you can like change them. So for like a shooting game, you can turn the triggers down so it's quicker to fire. You can change game. Yeah, you can change like for each gameplay style. You can change it between games. Like you'd have one for Gears of War, one for Lego Star Wars, and one for Forza 4. You can change between those by like a little button that changes the style for how you set it.
Sounds like a gimmick. Fun.
And this is the second one, I think. I think it's the wireless, because they already had another one before that, but I never bought it or tried it out. So I think I might try this one or see how it is, because it looks really interesting. And I like the style too, and it's got a bigger battery pack. I think it lasts 40 hours, and it's rechargeable. And for like regular Xbox controllers, you have to put batteries in, and it's quite a bit of money if you could just recharge it.
I mean, I had to be pointed out that PlayStation controllers are not necessarily the most like comfortable if you really think about like where your hands or like, you know, where they should be and where they rest naturally. Xbox controllers look
thick.
more comfortable.
Xbox
they look way more
thick.
comfortable. Yeah, so sure, but I'm glad to have to stick with a
and
standard
it can't
controller.
buy it, so he's
well, again, we'll see what the PS5 brings in terms of its features. I'd hope there'd be an availability and possibility for keeping the controllers. That'd be really helpful for me if I plan to sell off a PS4. That's another thing. The PlayStation next model is its own topic, but I'm interested to see what
Sony
that whole console generation's going to come. I should save this for Project Scarlet, right? Yeah.
Project Scarlet. Okay, next is Forza 4 and the big Lego announcement. So Forza 4...
I'm wondering who's going to buy this. Really. Like, I think it's fun, but who out of the Forza group is going to buy this? Or who's going to buy Forza to get the Lego thing?
Well, there's people on Twitter already complaining about the Forza 4 Lego expansion pack because it's Legos and not real cars. They're like, this sucks. Why do they include Legos? This is supposed to be about, like, sports cars and stuff. Why don't they have real cars?
I don't know. I don't know what demographic they were really hitting upon here.
I think they're trying to go for like young kids because I don't really know anyone who plays Forza or any racing car games anymore.
Yeah, I'm not a racer guy at all, very much.
But it looks interesting. You can like destroy.
I'm glad that it's a thing. Sure, yeah, I'm totally down for it being like that.
I just won't buy it ever or play it ever.
Yeah, if I had the opportunity. Okay, so after this, I've written down. I skipped through a lot because I don't really care for the Crossfire game.
Oh, I like Crossfire. I thought Crossfire looked.
You could talk about that then. Yeah, there was a bunch of stuff after this that was like animation of dragons and then Crossfire, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna skip.
So the game's called Crossfire X. It looks to be like a first-person shooter type deal. I think the cinematics were like two different groups of people meeting in a building. Then all of a sudden, like this fighter plane comes from a carrier ship and it just shoots the building and the guys fall down in the water, and it's like, I think it's supposed to be like mercenaries or something. That's the feel I got because they're wearing like normal like camo stuff, and they seem like to be like a secretive group or something. Probably gonna have a big multiplayer like Call of Duty. Probably gonna be a single story too that deals with war and the outcomes of war and stuff like that. It looks beautiful, though. I like the trailer. It looks really cool. So I'll probably get it.
Looking forward to it. Glad somebody was looking forward to it. Then.
I'm the only one. I'm the only one on Crossfire Reddit. I'm like, this game looks so sick. Oh my god, guys, this is gonna be the best game ever. It's just.
Are you into Borderlands at all?
I just bought the Handsome Jack collection for $9 on Xbox
I just
Live.
got the Handsome Jack collection for free.
For free?
Yeah, it was on PSN this month.
Oh, I'd have paid $9.
Hey, if you had gotten the Game Pass, you could have also gotten it for free.
Well, that's not free, but
yeah, well, mine's not either. But it's.
Did you play it, Nick? I think Borderlands.
I haven't
really
played. I've got on my PlayStation currently. I've got Colossus, Dreams, Spider-Man, Destroy All Humans 2, Gunhouse. That's it. Yeah.
So Borderlands has got like a really nice cartoony, gun style, and there's like different types of guns. You have side quests, main quests, and they just actually updated Borderlands 2. They put in a free update if you bought the Handsome Jack collection.
To get you ready for the third game, right?
Get you ready for the third game. It's called like Defend the Sanctuary, and the game's like really fun. I just like it because it's cool, funny. There's a bunch of stupid lines in it, like stupid funny lines.
Well, the only Borderlands game I played, I think at Troy's. I played the first one a long while ago, and it kind of bored me. I wasn't like really into shooting games though, so it could have. I maybe just didn't get into the opening style of the game, because I played Tales from the Borderlands from.
Is that the Telltale?
Telltale got me really involved and enjoying the world that it was through the great characters and stories.
Yeah, it's a pretty wacky world,
It was a great and wacky world, and I very much enjoyed it. So I'd be interested in playing the Borderlands collection pretty soon. I just don't know if I'm going to necessarily get the third one out. Yeah, especially opening day. Opening day, I'm not going to, it doesn't really care to...
Like, if you already have Handsome Jack...
Isn't it 3 games if you get the Handsome Jack collection?
Yeah,
it's 1, 2, and then isn't there a Handsome Jack game?
I have no clue. I only got 2 of mine. We'll have to look at the actual
contents of it. Okay, well maybe PlayStation is just better.
I
don't know.
Maybe PlayStation's just quote unquote better.
Okay, so but are you gonna get after you are done with Borderlands the collection? Are you gonna play?
I'm probably not gonna buy it because I already have 2 of them. Handsome Jack collection is a way better deal than buying Borderlands 3. You know.
I'm not a big fan of open day pricing, that sort of thing.
I mean,
if I can get it on sale or it's got Keanu Reeves in it, I'll buy it. But
I will probably wait till Black Friday on Amazon because it's usually the cheapest. It's probably like $30-$40.
Yeah, let's hope. Gur Martin and
did you say Gur?
Gur Martin and
George R.R. Martin and
Gur Martin and I promised myself I wasn't gonna say his first name, but I feel like you can't just say Miyazaki. Hidetaka Miyazaki. And they're working on a game that was leaked a little bit earlier in the week. Called Elden Ring, and again, CG trailer. Know nothing really about it other than it's like Vikings, Lord of the Rings type thing.
Just
/ Japanese. I don't know. I really don't know.
Fantasy Japanese game. That's pretty much it. That's all I got from the trailer.
I really don't know much about it, and I'd really prefer he finish his books before he had like extracurricular to work on.
Well, that's probably what he's been doing, is making the game, because I think he wrote the story, right, for the game?
Well, yeah, and then work alongside what's-his-face to put it out there.
Yeah, so he's been wasting his time doing this, but it might be a really good game. We don't know yet.
Okay. Let's just, hopefully he doesn't get too tired or bushed out.
Hopefully don't die.
Hopefully don't die. Old man. Yeah, I said that last week.
Well, no one heard that, podcast. Nick. No one's ever going to hear that.
Well, it was also, let's point this out since no one will hear this. Kyle said, let's do a Game of Thrones episode. And then I go, okay, sure. And then I didn't rewatch, but I took notes on all the episodes of season 8.
We never said
that I had watched.
8. It was never specified.
But if you say we're going to do a podcast the week after Game of Thrones, on Game of Thrones, you'd think it would be about the most recent season or even the finale. But no, he wanted to talk about all the lore that led up to Game of Thrones. The lore's
interesting. Nick thought it was interesting.
So last week was me going, oh, so what was that again? Huh. All right. So who is he? Oh, okay. I had nothing to contribute on that one.
Oh, sad little Nick.
It's a great guest. It's a great tool to bring your guest on. Just feed them information.
Lies. Give them lies.
Lies. Deception.
Yeah, but I think Elden Ring will be interesting. I probably won't buy it.
I don't know if it'll be interesting. I haven't seen anything from it. It's just a CG trailer. To me, I can't get anything out of this.
A good writer, Nick. He's a good writer, so I have high hopes.
All right. Well, I don't know if he's a good game developer because it's this Miyazaki guy, who I've heard is very good as well. I don't know of any of his.
I don't know any games he's ever.
No. But yeah, let's cross fingers. Project Scarlet. This got me excited for the potential of what the PS5 is going to bring, potentially, because of all the same things that I heard people were talking about with the PS5. They're like, oh yeah, this is what we heard from what PlayStation's pulling out too, all these new intricate things, load times, all that stuff.
It's just better graphics, pretty much. That's all I got from it for the Scarlet.
Which I think is great. I think it's great to make games look they should just more realistic and faster, and just cut all that actual system hardware stuff out of the way.
I think they should just update. I like that. We should be able to bring in the Xbox One and just update it for like $50 instead of buying a new console for like $500. I feel like you can't make a car faster than a normal car would go before its breaking point, Kyle. You have to design something brand new. That's not true. You could readjust the car. You could remake it.
You could put rockets on a car. Doesn't mean it's going to function properly.
But Nick, would you rather have one system that keeps getting updated, or would you rather have like 5
I'd rather have a system that keeps getting updated. However, that's not how both the markets of video games and consoles work, and how designing consoles will work. You can't put in more than you start with, I feel like, for the very most part. Unless Microsoft and PlayStation have workers come out and fiddle stick with your PlayStation and Xbox to make them better. You can't just update betterness into a game.
But I think they should. They should try. I don't want to buy another system.
I'd also wish that marshmallows just fell from the sky occasionally, because that'd be
sick.
That'd be sick, but it doesn't mean it just can be physically done.
We could do it, Nick. We could get an airplane and drop marshmallows on Minnesota.
I don't think you know how airplane works. Oh, airplanes. Okay, I get you.
Like the airplane simulator.
Yeah, I don't think that'd be a...
So I'm definitely going to wait for the Scarlet to be on sale for like a year or 2 years.
It won't be the Scarlet. It will be the Xbox, Jiminy Cricket or whatever.
Xbox 2.
Yeah, it should be Xbox 2. That would throw everybody off.
But I'm definitely not going to buy it full price first day. It's a waste of money.
Yeah, I'm hoping for this. It's going to take a while for me, because with my stuff, everything I want is like, I can deal with the graphics of games that are currently coming out now, and I can play older games as well, but like to run something like Dreams, no load times or far better efficiency and far
Nick
better,
needs it for his job.
I need it for monies and making my quality better.
I don't. I just need to play games, so I can wait.
I need my system to make better things like PNGs instead of JPEG screenshots. I just want my system to be better. So I'm looking forward to seeing what both the console wars, how they're going to hash out whose is better.
So you're probably going to buy it pretty close to the first year. You're going to buy it pretty soon as it comes out.
I'm hoping to get... Again, let's talk about PlayStation another day, but it's one of those things where I'm like... It's the Lego Star Wars thing where I'm like, based on the features and what they say about it, I'm willing to buy something when it comes around.
So you think you will,
wait and see.
But you're going to wait.
Wait and see. Wait and see is what I'm trying to say here.
That's what I'm going to do.
Halo
Infinite.
CG trailer. Wasn't that great? Another CG trailer.
It was really boring. I did not like this Halo trailer.
I liked the trailer. I just didn't like the fact that it was a trailer for...
You thought it was interesting, Nick? It was boring. All the other trailers they had, they're pretty exciting.
I like this Marine. I like giving the perspective from the Marine, and his family stuff was dumb. They're probably dead.
Yeah, his family's probably dead. Like,
I don't know why you would record the mother telling the daughter stuff. Why wouldn't you record the daughter?
Nick,
that seems a bit selfish.
It's Halo.
Maybe she had the camera turned around. She was in the holo camera turned around like an idiot and just didn't know. So it's like Star Wars. That's like Star Wars hologram technology. She just didn't know how to work it.
So it's like this Marine. He's on his Pelican. He is having
people
problems.
Have seen it. If they're watching this, people have seen it. It's to me, it's like people were saying they didn't like the look of the Chief because they thought he looked too old. What? Liked his design.
Oh, his armor? I liked his armor. I thought it was way better than his Halo 5. It looks like
classic Chief to me. I don't think you should mess around too much with.
He's like a brand. He's like a main brand character for Microsoft. They should just keep his look.
He's supposed to look old because it's like the Spartan program.
Well, Nick, he gets like updated armor in Halo 5, but then Cortana...
And that looked terrible.
I don't know. Like Halo 5
It was too much busy work going on. People were saying
they tried to dumb it back down to like Halo 3, Halo 2 armor.
I think the God of War guy, the original God of War guy, was tweeting about that, saying how boring the Chief looked, and I'm like, well, first of all, he looks classic, and second of all, we already did change this, and nobody liked it. So
I like his new look. I think his new look looks.
It's not a new look though. It's just an updated. It's a new
set of armor, Nick. It's not.
But it looks more akin to the classic.
Yeah,
stuff.
It looks...
He doesn't look. He looks more like green-plated Chief than he does like battle. He looks like a Battletoads in 4 and 5.
He doesn't look like a Transformer like in Halo 5. He looks like a
just like the color palette too. It's just bleaker. Don't like it. But yeah, I thought the trailer was enough to get me interested into what the potential story was going to be. But again, a lot better CG trailer than some other ones where it's like fast paced and I don't know what are you selling me the game on? Like, what is the game? But again,
Halo's always been a more story-based game.
a year back from last year. We're a year out. And I still know as much as I did last year for when Halo Infinity was first announced.
Halo Infinite, Nick. Infinite.
What did I say?
Infinity.
Yeah, Halo. Oh, yeah, it's Halo Infinite is the actual title. Sure, it was fine.
I'm excited. I always love Halo.
I just didn't want to hype myself up because I knew it wasn't going to be anything of note.
And you'd never play it.
It wasn't. Well, come over to your house, chill.
I love Halo games. I like the story. I like the action. I've read a lot of the books, a lot of the comics, watched the shows, the movies. So I'm pretty excited for Halo Infinite.
I am glad for you.
Thanks, Nick. I really appreciate that.
Okay, and then they closed it out, and that was great.
And now we got Bethesda. Woo!
Yeah, Bethesda.
Yeah, Bethesda. Yeah.
So Bethesda.
Yeah. Woo! I like that guy in the crowd. He's like, yeah. He just keeps screaming.
He definitely got a raise. It
was probably a Bethesda employee. They're like, good job, John. Keep it up. He's like, yeah.
God, yeah. I would say this is probably the worst panel out of everything I've seen so far.
It was super boring
this week. They started off talking about, and they sprinkled this throughout, whether it was employees or fans, talking about like how great Bethesda has been for them and the games they love and everything, and that gave me the first big indicator that these people did not have very much to show this year round, and I think it kind of showed. I don't know. It didn't seem like there was very much to go on.
Yeah, I was looking at the highlights.
Like new. There wasn't very much new, so they had to fill in with a lot of people talking about their depression and their gender identity and what Bethesda meant to them. Which to me, I just had to skim over because I was like, this isn't games. I just
went to the games, and there's only like 15 minutes of game highlights for Bethesda, and that was it. That's like nothing in the grand scheme.
And so when the first guy came out, all he was doing, even after we had a video of that, the first guy came out. I don't know if he's like the head of. I think he's got to be the head of Bethesda. He comes out and he goes like, "Oh, gaming and your fans and." We've had so many people. I was just like, you're padding this out for no reason. I don't understand. But then I came to understand that they just really had nothing to display or show.
Yeah, I really didn't watch any of it, so I have no clue.
It was very simple.
Very simple. Very
Fallout
boring.
76. Todd Howard comes out and again does the same thing. He talks about the game, talks about the fans, talks about what it's meant to them this whole year, exciting year for them. He tried to meme all of the bad stuff by like glossing over it by saying like,
I heard 76 had like the worst opening and it went down in price like instantly.
And like lied. Not even that, but just the way they went about so many of the terrible changes and terrible decisions that they made.
The canvas space.
So poorly. It threw me off that they would try to like make a meme out of that. I thought they would just not even address it, not even try to address it and just gloss over it.
That probably would have been better than trying to address and make a meme out of it.
Yeah, well, it's Bethesda and they really don't have a plan or understand what they're doing. So that happened.
Will you get the
They didn't talk about others. Oh, sorry. What?
Nick, we didn't even talk about 76. Are you gonna get the updated Wasteland?
I'm getting to 76
because
they haven't.
Elder Scrolls.
Todd Howard did not get to talk about any of the new stuff. It wasn't him talking about it. He just talked about the game and the year they've had and stuff. And
who cares about that? Who wants to listen to that?
I'm saying this is what Todd Howard did, and Todd Howard is Todd Howard.
Oh,
Get off my back,
Todd
you monkey.
Howard.
He talks about Elder Scrolls Blades. That's the most he talked about. He talks about how it's going to be on the Switch, and I mean, it's a mobile game with microtransactions and gems.
How fun.
I don't quite get who this is going to be for. It's not a fun aspect of gaming. That's why I really got worried about this presentation. I keep saying, this is the moment that I felt things were bad. I feel like that's going to happen a couple more times because, yeah, there were plenty of telltale signs. That
I think the whole thing was just bad, Nick.
Elder Scrolls 6, I think, was maybe mentioned, but we didn't say anything new from that. I think we knew we weren't going to see anything new from that, and I didn't expect it because that game's kind of just in uber development for the next like year and a half or something. Fallout 76 Battle Royale was announced.
Gross. Battle Royale should be dead by now.
Yeah, but it's not even gonna be like a part of the game. It's gonna be like it's like a mode. It's gonna be like I don't know, like the battle mode in Doom. It's just gonna be an additional thing.
So additional game type that's just gonna be added onto the game. So not really a new game at all.
So the main thing they announced that they're changing on the actual game is human NPCs as opposed to robot ones.
How fun.
Right. A game with human NPCs. Can you imagine that? And then more weapons, more gear, I guess.
That's so boring. Why would they should just get over 76 and just make a new Fallout instead of trying to fix
they gotta recoup it somehow and try and regain all those lost
Nick,
copies.
do you think, will you go back?
Copies.
Did you buy 76? Or
no, it didn't look good, and I didn't care when they announced all the stuff that wasn't going to be in a Fallout game. Again, Fallout 4 for me is a weird fluke of me buying it for some reason. It seemed like a good starter game, and it was, and I enjoyed it. But I can see Fallout 76 running on the same engine that they've been using for the past 10 years not being of interest to me.
What a boring game.
Yeah. I questioned if this will be enough to get players back into it.
It won't. And it looked really boring, even from an outside perspective. I wasn't even interested at all. You want to talk about your waifu now, Nick?
Yes, I do. I don't know if he was Miyazaki. He comes out on stage, this guy who's like a mainstay developer for like a lot of the mainstay horror games of the past couple years, I'd say. And he brings in his apprentice, and she was a delight. She was an absolute delight. Her. And I fell in love with this lovely little lady, Nakamura. I don't want to try to remember her name offhand and say something racist. So she comes out and talks about this game, which kind of did. This is one of those things where I go, CG trailer, ugh. But it did sell me on the notion. It did what a CG trailer should do in that it enticed me enough by going like, and then she did a good job of talking about the games, like how you would kind of play about it. And the CG trailer was one of the best ones I saw this year. It was designed very well. It looked beautiful, and it had interesting thematic visuals and all that stuff.
Nick, do you know what the game is about?
Basically, you're going around, right. Tokyo has people disappearing, and you're a paranormal, like, super hunter investigator where you've got a bow and magic powers, and you have to fight and discover and investigate ghosts. And that made me interested, because I was like, I get to fight ghosts with a bow and arrow. That's pretty dope.
Okay, that's more interesting than with the trailer.
My waifu,
tell by the trailer.
Right. Again, you had to listen to her kind of explain about it and kind of get into it. And then when the guy came up with the bow and was like, if you don't understand something, fight it. I was like, oh yeah. Oh, it was something along those lines with the paranormal.
Don't understand something, just fight it.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, finally just smash things and crack their skulls in with the bow. That'd be dope. So, yeah, I was kind of not sold on it, but enticed and interested. That was to me the highlight of Bethesda's panel.
Well, I think that was a highlight for many people, because she was also on the Twitter trending page and became a meme status. Like Keanu.
She was one of those meme icons that developed throughout the course of the week.
There was 3 legendary memes.
Yeah, we won't talk about the third one just yet.
Just yet. That's the next.
Again, it wasn't even that big of a thing. It was kind of it was the soft tier legend of that whole thing. And there was far more fan art of Nakamura than there was of Keanu. But Keanu was just the meme that it became because it was amazing.
Because he's amazing, lovely man.
So I don't normally play horror, but I'm down for this. And
yeah, it sounds more interesting than the Blair Witch game. And looks better. Right.
And just like the way horror is done through Japanese style and Japanese
it's way different
developers and it's totally different. And it is my genre of like what I like in terms of horror, but I normally just don't play games that are like that because they never tend to delve too much into Japan or Asian influence.
Or the history.
This one is directly in Tokyo. I very much dig that.
So it's got more Eastern influences and more Eastern culture, unlike other horror games that are more Westernized. Exactly.
And they're like ghostly things as opposed to like mutated monster or like zombies or anything like that. So yeah, I'm all about that.
It's on the hype train.
Nakamura-san.
Nakamura-san.
Yeah. So, trust in the waifu.
Nick, what else was in the Bethesda conference? I don't remember anything
more
else
cringe
after that.
More cringe compilation about people talking about... I mean, that was just directly after this. We talked about this earlier. More cringe comp. And then Elder Scrolls stuff out the butt. Like, just...
There's a lot of Elder Scrolls stuff. I just
Elder
skipped
Scrolls
all
Online. Not good stuff either. All stuff that was coming out that day. And CG trailers for stuff that was coming out that day. Like, how do you do that? How do you have something coming out that day and you go, let's just hype it up with the dumb
trailer
ones and zeros on the screen that don't mean anything you can't actually play?
You're talking about like the mobile game that they introduced at E3 conference?
Holy moly. God.
That was disgusting.
This was just the deadest moment of the entire conference. This woman comes out and with a pre-planned script with no passion, because she's not... I don't know if she's the developer. She seems to me like... she came off as a spokesperson for it.
She probably is. They probably just paid her to say it.
But even if she was, it just speaks to how low this presentation moment was.
She just didn't care. She's like, I give up on life. I have to present an app game for E3 conference.
You play as Billy and Billy trying to work together to fight the Splorgalorn in space. God.
It was gross. I hated that. I was like,
I hated that moment for real. It was terrible. Mobile game or not, it just had no energy and little passion behind why I should care about the new
Nick
IP being introduced.
Passion. He needs the passion, desire for mobile games.
More Elder. I kind of said we got all our Elder Scrolls stuff all at once. We didn't. Elder Scrolls Legends, another thing that came out that day. And I feel like they're gonna not like they're already not at it, or not as if they aren't already there, but the fatigue of like Elder Scrolls, I feel is gonna bleed into Elder Scrolls 6, which worries me because I can pop in Elder Scrolls, I can pop in Skyrim right now, have a blast playing it, and not have any issues.
Have you played any of the Elder Scroll games besides Skyrim? Have you?
No, but I'm excited for... I feel like that's the motif and genre they're going to want to lean towards more so for sales-wise. I just hope they don't... But Fallout 76 also breaks my heart because... Just because it existed.
Just because it existed.
But I also feel like they took the Fallout 76 route, or the Fallout route, Fallout 4, I should say. And find your words, Nick. Put them together. They took the Fallout 4 route and just took the same thing and placed it on... You know, like they did it too much of a quick turnaround to make a new Fallout game, which wasn't really a new Fallout game. It was just a redesigned thing in a different area, and they added two or three features. Yeah. I mean, great environment, I'm sure, but God, not the way to go about it. I worry they could do the same thing with Skyrim, but they'd have to improve it a lot more. And from what I've seen of whatever the last time I saw them do anything with Elder Scrolls 6, which was like sneak peeks and behind the scenes, looked like they just talked about the hard drive aware, and like that's the kind of thing like Project Scarlet makes me like excited for. It's like the new big jump into the 6th generation of
Nick
consoles.
Wants that technology. He wants the graphics update.
I want those
faster processing
frames, dog. I'm not a big guy with like, oh, we need to have frames per second. I know nothing about that.
Yeah,
I know nothing about 4K. I don't really care. But just the fact that like stuff will eventually just keep progressing and getting better. We're not getting stuff that looks the same for the very, very most part makes me excited. And like I can see the difference between the game I pop in now and like a game I played on Wii with like the aliasing still happening, where
the
pixels are still, you can see all that stuff.
The characters looking terrible.
More smooth stuff and
more realistic.
Things.
I'd say in general, it's more realistic.
Well, not even realism as much as things look. There's a difference between like realistic and real.
Well, they look better.
Like,
they look more.
To me,
like
in a lot of things, like what to me, there's a difference between that though, because I think there's a weird example, but I always pull it up, because there's a lesson to be learned here. In the MCU, the Hulk's design looks realistic. It looks
Which
like
Hulk?
it looks like a character that could be a real person.
Well, which one?
However,
Edward
it
Norton
doesn't.
or
Mark
Ruffalo?
The Mark Ruffalo one. Any of the iterations of the Mark Ruffalo one. Honestly, it looks realistic. You can see all those fibers and all that stuff. But to me, it doesn't look real. It doesn't look like he's actually there. It just looks like It looks like It looks like not even a cartoon. It looks like just a CG visual effect thing. Ang Lee's Hulk, if you go back and look at that movie and the way they integrated the animation into the effects of the world and how they filmed that thing.
That's the Edward Norton one, right?
No, that's the Ang Lee one.
Which one's the Ang Lee one?
That's the one where he's like really green and he's like in San Francisco. It might have been too early for your age, Kyle. I mean, I know we're not that different of age. But
I'm a young stallion. I don't know this
it
stuff.
It looks ridiculous, and he kind of his design looks so cartoony, but he looks like a real cartoon in the real world. Like it's almost like a Roger Rabbit effect, where he looks real in the. He looks like a real fake thing. World. Yeah, he looks like he's actually standing there when he stands there. So that's what I would describe the difference as. I don't necessarily need more realism, because you can have silly, goofy, cartoony games, but I just want it to look real, as if I could reach in and grab it with my hands and
I see what you're saying.
And touch characters. So yeah, so stuff like Death Stranding kind of gets me excited in a big bad way. That kind of stuff, just like just progression for systems and the way technology is advancing in video games is really exciting for me. Far more than it is in like movies. Like, I don't know what Avatar 2 is going to pull out, but, I find myself far more excited for progressions in video games than I do than CG animation in movies. Oh, well.
Is that all you got, Nick, for the Bethesda?
For Elder Scrolls, yeah. I think maybe I'll say something more when they bring up Elder Scrolls again down the line of this conference. My God.
Yeah, a minute later, Elder Scrolls.
After that, it was Rage 2, and from what I remember from Rage to the previous thing I saw last year, or maybe, I don't know if it was last year, whenever I saw it last, it was far more like down and gritty, and this was such a goofy trailer, it made me go like, did they realize that all these games coming out kind of seem the exact same in terms of like their motifs and their things, so they decided to make a goofy, like, Dead Rising 4 type trailer, just to kind of make it seem like the conference was different and the style of game was different. I don't know. It didn't seem like the same trailer I saw last year.
I don't
and again, I don't really have the interest.
Year.
It doesn't really resonate with me in terms of like that was just a big lull after people were still reeling from more Elder Scrolls stuff and more Commander Keen nonsense. So Rage 2 kind of got glossed over. Then Wolfenstein came in.
Wolfenstein, yeah?
They announced a VR game, which I thought was a good idea for that world. If you're gonna, that was one of the one VR games I can remember even out of all the conferences I saw this week. Wolfenstein seemed like a good idea to just put yourself in a mech suit, walk around,
kill some Nazis,
kill some dang old Nazi bots and Nazi people. And then they announced the sequel to New Colossus, or no, wait,
to Doom.
It's Wolfenstein.
New Order, right? Or something like that.
Isn't there also one Colossus, though?
I've
never played any of those games, but I've watched all the animations and stuff on YouTube. They seem like fun games. I have Doom on my PS4, and I hadn't played that yet. So, and what they showed like from this looked super fun too. Just arcade style shoot 'em ups, and with the co-op element, that seemed like pretty dope. I had no problems with this. I'm gonna find it very funny when they put it on Switch though. Like,
put Doom on Switch.
Work? No, not Doom on. Oh yeah, they're also bringing Doom to Switch and Wolfenstein. So it's gonna be funny to see that kind of take. Are
you gonna buy it on Switch though, Nick? Or
this is the Nintendo panel. What am I doing?
Yeah, what are you talking about? Huh?
Do you have anything to say about Youngblood or Wolfenstein?
Nope. I won't play it or buy it at all. I don't play Wolfenstein.
Well, I wouldn't mind picking up this one just because it looked fun enough on its own. Deathloop was one of those games where the French guys came out.
Was
it
the
made
Deathloop
no sense.
the one with the
CG trailer that probably made the most least. Yeah, this was the black guy and the black woman, and they're talking about.
I didn't understand what the
nonsense.
game was trying to be. Is it a first-person shooter or like a battle royale?
This is my problem with CG trailers. If you cannot just talk about your game well enough, and you can't present your game well enough, those are two different things. Talking about your game and presenting your game through visuals and stuff. If you can't sell it to your audience in either of those two ways, I don't know what your game is, and I don't get excited for it. And that's what I feel like this game was. Deathloop, by the way.
It was really confusing. I didn't understand what type of game it wanted to be.
It sounds like a time travel game, just from the title alone, the way the music played out, but I don't know.
They should probably done a thing before, explain what it was or something.
Yeah, I don't know. They didn't really...
Kind of dropped the ball in that game.
Certainly did.
You got
more people talked about Bethesda and how much they loved it. Yep, that's my notes here.
And then you got Project Orion.
Just what was that though? I'm sorry.
It's like a handheld, like streaming gaming device thing.
No, not Orion. I'm a little bit more clear on Orion now. It's like a Roku for, like.
Nick, can you explain what a Roku is for people who don't know what
Roku is? Roku is like any other streaming device. In that, imagine you don't have a device to stream to. Like a console or a computer. You can just plug this into, say, your TV or your monitor or something, and it accesses the internet and gives you a whole bunch of apps and stuff to stream content on. That's what I imagine the Orion stuff is. But Kyle had to explain that to me an hour ago.
It connects to the controller, though. It connects to the controller you're playing on.
Right, so your
like
Xbox
a TV or something.
Can do it, or is it only Xbox though? This is the Bethesda panel.
They didn't say it was only Xbox.
They didn't quite say it,
but it showed an Xbox controller. That's what.
Another panel where it was too many buzzwords for me to.
There's
really
too much information for one panel. I think.
Well, too little information as far as I
mean, they had a short amount of time. If they wanted to really explain it, they would have had a longer. If
they really wanted to explain it, they should have been more succinct. And,
they should have got rid of the app,
precise,
and replaced it with the
monologued. They monologued and droned on like I would. So not very good.
Not very good at all. It was hard.
Yeah. Would you get it? Would you get it based on what it sounds like?
No, I would not get it. I could just play on my phone or have a laptop. I really don't need that at all.
Yeah, it seemed unnecessary. The Doom presentation. This is the final thing of the big old panel. Dude. Which honestly, it kind of seemed like Doom, and it was good. It was fine enough. Better. It was the thing they showed the most of. So you could say it was the highlight of the panel.
It was the highlight of the panel
in terms of just pure game performance, and I feel like every game like that, if you want to go extensively, the best you can do is showing off a game like Doom.
Well, I think that one actually included gameplay, right? Too. It wasn't just
gameplay in multiple facets. Gameplay, trailers, and then showing actual gameplay. That's what they combined. The showing and the telling.
For everyone, but they didn't.
They throw in CG trailers, and that would have been. I think that would have ruined and brought down the whole presentation if they had done that for Doom. But they were smart enough to know that they could not possibly do that, and. Yeah, it looks like you can play as demons now. Whoop, whoop.
Well, I thought you could play that in the first one. They had a game mode where you could play as like a demon and the other people had to hunt you down or something like that.
I am unaware. I have not popped it in myself.
I have not played Doom before, so I've no
We
clue.
are uninformed, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. We are just very uninformed.
Well, because I don't play every game out there. That's like unreasonable.
You're right. We're not game commentators. We're
just normal guys.
There's a couple of Sotie boys.
A couple of Sotie boys here.
Would you, if you were really into Doom, would you buy the Doom helmet?
Yeah, I probably would if I was really into Doom.
I feel like I would crack it.
I like helmets and stuff like that. I have a Stormtrooper helmet in my room.
The fact that it's a real helmet is dope. They didn't list a price, which made me go.
It's probably gonna be like $80 to $100.
Oh no! I'd say over 100, over 200.
Well, I mean, the Stormtrooper helmet I have is like $80.
I mean, I don't know. I look at stuff like Doom helmet, and then I look at stuff like maps, collections, pins, stickers, steelbook, all for the standard edition, Or not even, maybe the Steelbook wouldn't be standard edition.
Yeah, Steelbook
maybe it could
would be deluxe.
Though. But for Cyberpunk standard edition, looks fantastic. I would rather keep buying stuff and putting my money into vehicles like that group than id. Not big helmets. Not big id helmets.
Well, unless you're really into it.
Unless you're really into it, I guess. But yeah, Bethesda's was kind of underwhelming for other than Wolfenstein and for
Nick's
Doom.
waifu.
I didn't think there was anything. Oh yeah, and then my personal waifu. But other than that, they had really nothing to show. That's why
it was really boring.
They had to fill it with crap.
Nick believes it's crap. So that, Nick, is that the end of our first official E3 podcast series?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's the end of the conference.
That's the end of our conference and their conference. So the next episode will be Nintendo, featuring a bunch of other conferences. Which one were they, Nick? They were the Ubisoft. No, Nintendo's is panel 3. Oh, final 3. Okay,
yeah,
what was
we got a couple things. We got a couple things. The second panel is going to be Ubisoft, Square Enix, and Devolver Digital. And Devolver Digital is just because they had a great panel, and I'd like to talk about that one. And then the third one we should be wrapping up with. Well, here's the problem: we're hoping potentially Sony could drop like a state of play in the next week or so.
Stuff.
If not, we'll just do something along the lines of just releasing Nintendo and then the PC gaming panel. And hopefully there's something to talk about the PC gaming panel, because it's just really long. And
it's really long.
But not as long as this podcast has been. My wordy.
Hey, that's good, Nick. On this one. People like it.
Do they?
So I want to thank everyone who came out to listen today. Crack open a cold one, and have a good rest of your day. Nick, would you like to say goodbye to our lovely audience?
I appreciate everybody who listens to this malarkey of me speaking through phlegm. I hope you enjoy it in the next episode, too.
Next episode will be even better. So thank you and goodbye.